Hi, and good afternoon, everyone. Hello to our webinar. Welcome to our webinar today on the topic boosting your mental resilience during and post COVID-19. My name is Hiba Abbasi, and on behalf of the University of Manchester Middle East Center, I would like to welcome you all from my home. And thank you for taking the time to join us today. Today, I'm very delighted to have our guest speaker talking about a topic which is really very much in need in time, John Kairouz. John is a human development consultant. He's a brain-based coach, master trainer, mentor, motivational and technical speaker. He's a TV anchor, master of ceremony, entrepreneur, teacher, researcher, writer, and organizational development specialist. His experience is built on having consulted, trained, and coached over 220 companies in 16 industries on 3 continents. John has spent over 17 years extensively researching human behavior within organizations in the areas of neuroscience and psychology, cognitive psychology, brain training, brain nutrition, cultural engineering, science of leadership, science of communication, science of sales, and science of service and body language.
Thank you.
John's passion is to help accelerate human performance and enhance culture, and it has made him a leader in the coaching, training, mentoring, and speaking industry. John received multiple awards and certificates of recognition for excellence in performance, from breaking national sales records 3 years in a row to training, coaching, and training over 70,000 individuals in Europe and the MENA region. Being blessed with a multicultural background, John's sensitivity to the beliefs, values, behavior, psycholinguistics, and the nuances of the many countries and types of companies he has trained has allowed him to master communication and the ability to inspire people into permanent change. John, we are very delighted to have you with us today. Thank you for joining the session. We're very pleased to have you talk about a topic which is very much in need. But before we start the session, just a few housekeeping rules. You are all going to be muted just to eliminate noise, and we will be taking your questions, so you can type them in the question section or also on the chat box, and we will be taking them toward the end of the session. So during this time, and since the COVID-19 or coronavirus outbreak has emerged, people have been concerned and only talking about global health, economic, and financial implications. And we see governments around us are telling us to stay at home and only go outside for essentials, for food, for health reasons, to stay 2 meters away from one another, to wash our hands, as much as possible. And most of us, are staying at home and working from home. And, also some of us are also handling family members at home, doing online learning. And we're not going about our social life. Our regular social activities are no longer available to us. And we understand that this is a very different period in our life, and maybe not necessarily a bad one, but combined with the extensive news coverage on the pandemic and an unknown future, it is no wonder that a lot of us are feeling anxiety, and anxiety is really on the rise. So most of us are feeling anxious, most of us are feeling frustrated and wondering how to cope with these challenging times. How do we boost our mental resilience? How do we find strategies that would help us to cope with these times? John, I give it all to you.
Thank you so much. I gotta say, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to serve your community. I'm so grateful to you for this incredible introduction. It's always kind of weird when someone is like introducing you to a talk or whatsoever. I just want the audience to really know that as professionals, you being a coach and me being a coach, our main intention here is to serve you with excellence and to be of value to you in your life. And that really is a selfish request on our part, because we also truly feel good about improving people's lives and our own in the same process. So I'm not going to pretend that I'm coming here to have a conversation with you because of the phenomenal goodness of my heart. I do consider to have a good heart, but also because ultimately there is a benefit from that, and that benefit is seeing a difference in you, or your lives are benefiting from it. At this stage, I want to thank you all, if you allow me, and I hope your families are well and safe and in good health. And please keep in mind, in case we have any technical issues, in case the internet disconnects for a few seconds or anything that might happen, just be patient. We've got backups to backups, so everything will be back and running. In the meantime, just to tell you really what this program is about. First of all, you can see on the screen, we're going to use an interactive tool with your permission, which is Mentimeter. It's a really fun tool, and it works off your mobile or a computer or a pad or whatever you want. So it would be great if you can use two pieces of technology, one to watch this webinar and one to interact with us. If you have two pieces of technology, which most of us do, like a computer and a phone, or a tablet and a phone, please do go ahead and venture into Mentimeter. You can see the instructions on the screen. Go to www.menti.com, not to Mentimeter's website itself. So don't search for it, because it'll take you to the main site where it provides the service, but actually go to this specific web address and plug in that code. And once you do, you'll be able to just do a little like, and that will show me how many people have registered on Menti so far. So right now I can see 16 people. I can see a bunch of likes coming through, and that's really, really wonderful. It's also a way for me to know I'm doing a good job. So you can send me likes, thumbs up, thumbs down. You get to see all those emoticons, and it will allow me to understand if I'm doing a good job or if I'm going too slow or too fast. I tend to go fast in webinars because I want to keep your brain engaged. But if you feel I'm going a bit too fast, always feel free to write on the chat, please go slower, or please communicate a bit more calmly or quietly, and I will. Then it depends on the group, so we'll match our pace according to your needs. Also, when it comes to questions and answers, we're super happy to answer any of your questions, and will, at the end of the session, there's a Q&A section. So in the meantime, if you have questions, you can write them down in the chat box, and I'll make sure and do my absolute best to answer them by the end of the webinar itself. So with your permission, I'm going to jump forward to the next slide of this webinar to just kind of, again, highlight. Please grab a phone, grab a second piece of technology, log in. You'll always see the code at the top, which is menti.com, and the actual code to be used, 675603. And let's talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing today. So the first question I'd like to ask you interactively is, which city in the world are you in right now? Because I know we have quite an international crowd joining this webinar. So it would be so awesome to know where you are. And I'm going to join you too, just to drop in my location and make sure that this tool is working right. Amazing. Mumbai, India, Abu Dhabi, London, Beirut, Chester, Qatar, Cairo, Al Khobar, Dubai. A lot of people from Dubai. Awesome. Abu Dhabi. Beautiful. Liverpool. Okay. Thank you so much for joining, guys. Egypt. Toronto. Wow. So different time zones. Jeddah. Ya ahla. Welcome, welcome, welcome to everybody from all these wonderful countries, all these cities. It warms my heart to know that we're all connected, and I want to try to make this as interactive as possible, so I also hear back from you, because I'm here to learn from you, not just to share information. So to tell you a little bit about this workshop, or this webinar, if you'll say, it's very science-based. So everything we're going to go through is information that has been tested, tried, studied, and we've got plenty of reports that it works very, very well. It's mapped with the brain, because my background is brain-based coaching, which means science-based neuroscience, neurobiology, okay, and neuropsychology. That's my primary function as someone who works in applied psychology and also as a behavioralist. I love the brain. I'm super passionate about it, and I love to share information that instantly makes a difference in our lives. So hopefully, in a bit, we'll be able to share with you that valuable information. I'd also like to know a little bit, if you don't mind, how are you feeling today? So just to get a feel for the overall group, and also to get a feel for you. So go ahead and share that if you don't mind. Are you worried, calm, anxious, good? How are you feeling today in general? Maybe you don't even know. So that's also a possibility. I hope you like the work that we did on the GIFs, trying to make it exciting. Cool. So 4 are anxious, 2 worried, 2 calm, 4 good, 2 excellent, 0 don't knows. That's good news. Let's see. I don't know if the don't know category will kick in. 5 anxious. So I can see a lot of people on the anxious level. And if so, this webinar, if you're anxious, worried, calm in general, this webinar is for you. If you're a good, excellent, all right, this webinar is for others or for you in the future, okay? So I think you're really gonna find it very, very valuable, God willing. I see 13 at good, 12 at anxious. Okay, you guys are amazing. You're really using Mentimeter fantastically. So keep that effort up. It's really gonna help me to do a better job. And finally, I just would like to know, if you don't mind, where on the stress curve do you think you are? So if we take an extreme, which is boredom, nah. And then on one other extreme, when we're talking about burnout and just super exhausted, where would you say you are? You've got 10 ratings. Let us know where everyone is on average so I know how to run this webinar effectively. 6.7, 3 close to burnout. Wow, 2 on burnout. Okay, all right. I will do my best for you. I swear, I promise. Couple on board. Bored is as bad as burnout, to be honest. Both are extremely painful experiences. All right. So I guess a lot of people are still stuck in quarantine, I'm guessing. I mean, just like all of us. And that can lead to either a lot of worry or it can lead to a lot of disconnection, right? So these tools are going to be very, very effective for you as we go through our program. Okay, we've got 28, 29. I'm going to wait 10 more seconds with your permission and then jump to the next slide. For those who are fasting or in the GCC, happy Ramadan to you and your family, and Iftar Kareem as you get to Iftar later on during the day. It's really a pleasure. For those who are joining like Toronto from all the other side of the world in a different time zone, thanks for putting the effort. It really means a lot to me. Great, 41 so far. Let's talk about our agenda really quick. So we're going to talk about mental toughness. What is mental toughness? It seems to be kind of a fluid concept. I don't know how many of you really know what mental toughness is, or we might have a not a very generalized, or a generalized idea, let's say, about it. Feel free to give me thumbs up. Feel free to ask a question just to keep me engaged. Also send me hearts. I'll look to the side sometimes on the screen to be able to see what you guys are telling me. If you don't like what I'm saying, or I'm going too fast, like way too fast, don't thumbs down me, just send me a comment in the chat box. But if you don't like what I'm saying or you don't agree with it, you can thumbs down, it's completely fair. And if you like cats, feel free to pop in the cat emoticon. And if you have cats, I have a cat too, I love cats. So the neurobiology of mental toughness, we're gonna get into section 1, into the biology, because we need to understand our body, okay? Information and experience in our life is based on our body and our brain, not just our brain. So it's not enough to work on the mind, it's also important to work on the body. And vice versa, it's important to work in the mind and then the body, or the body and the mind. We'll talk about that, what we call upstream and downstream information. We're going to talk about the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve, not Vegas as in location, but actually vagus, but anyways, or the vagal nerve is the primary nerve that initiates something called the flight and fight response. So we're going to talk about that and understand how to tone that nerve. It's just like a muscle, so that we step less into the parasympathetic system and spend more time being relaxed and comfortable and feeling good and being creative and have high energy. Then we're going to talk about the neuroscience of perseverance, which is now getting into the mind and talking about neurotransmitters and chemicals like dopamine, which will make a huge difference in our mental state and get you out of that boredom completely. And then we're going to talk about 6 dopamine boosting exercises. I picked out a couple of great reads for those who like to read, answer your question, and we are done for this session. So if everything's okay, I'm going to move forward now. I'm going to move a bit fast in areas that don't need a lot of explanation to keep it interesting, and slow down in areas that need explanation. If that's okay, hit me a thumbs up or a heart. Keep me in your mind, keep me posted so I understand how to do a better job, okay? Your feedback is so valuable to me all the time. So thank you so much for that. Moving on. All right, mental strength. When we talk about mental resilience or mental strength, we're really talking about, the ability to handle trauma, difficulties, continuing types of challenges and stress. No matter what the circumstances are, it just means that this person has a lot of resilience. Also, the American Psychological Association talked about the process of adapting well. So having the capability to adapt to adversity, difficulties, trauma, tragedy, and so forth. Now, in reality, this is all good, but there's no timeline on what they communicated. So, okay, how do I handle adversity for a day or a week? Might be easy to manage, but how do you handle adversity for months on end? And we don't really know at this stage how much longer this is going to last. So right now we're going into the second cycle of COVID-19 cases, which might cause more shutdowns in countries around the world. There's a lot of unknowns that we're dealing with, a lot of lack of clarity. And even if we don't have the unknowns or the clarity, if we're sitting at home, our hands are tied, we can't do much. So all in all, it's not a phenomenal situation to be in if we look at it from the perspective of comparing it to the past method of living that we had. If we think of it as a pause in our life, moving towards a future that can have a lot of positive changes, then it's a pretty exciting time. As you know, change always has a level of pain that we have to go through as human beings. And the more resistant we are to change, the more painful this is going to be. So what can we control in this situation? What do we have direct control over that we can manage day to day? Can we make decisions when it comes to the political outcomes of the global economy, or the fact that America or China might be at a tipping point of a war, or the fact that the GCC is handling challenges now with the fact that oil and fuel prices are dropping below a certain amount? So there's so many things that are affecting our status quo. And the question is, can we control any of that? And if you ask yourself that question, probably the reality is that you can't. What you can control is the perceived experience of that. And if you notice here, what I wrote is, stress is the human brain's defense mechanism of a perceived danger. And in fact, we've gone through a lot of unknowns in our life. Look back at the rest of your life, the life that has passed so far. I'm sure you've gone through many challenges and you're here and you're still okay. So in retrospect, we know life is challenging, but we also know that we have the power to control it. When we talk about mental resilience, a lot of times the formula generally communicated in psychology, in some schools of psychology, is adversity, which means challenges, difficulties, all that kind of stuff, split by resilience. So if I have more resilience and I divide adversity by resilience, I should survive. And that's what we talk about mental toughness, the ability to survive. But I don't agree with that equation at all, because you see, surviving means I'm getting by. Surviving means I'm not enjoying life. Surviving means I have a low quality of existence, even though I'm making it. And people like Jack Ma today came up and said, whoever can survive these next 2 years did a great job. And that might be true. But is it really where we should be? I'd like to counter this equation and discuss the ability of dividing adversity by mental toughness instead of resilience, meaning that in the past, in the previous slide, we talked about resilience as in my ability to handle stress and pressure. But mental toughness is my ability to react to stress and pressure in a positive way. So I don't want to handle it. I want to react to it. I want to engage with it. I want to turn it to my advantage. And that turns us from a situation, as you can see, where it says survival to prospering. And I'd like to take that formula one step further, the final step for today's talk, which is changing it from saying adversity at top to challenge. Because look, COVID is nasty. Economic crises are nasty, but we all knew this was coming. I mean, we had plenty of warnings. So to assume that life is not going to cause us challenges would be a little bit romantic as an idea or a gesture. And today we are faced with this challenge. We can either take this challenge, absorb it, and divide it by mental toughness and prosper in these times and learn the lessons that we need to learn to change and adapt and grow, or we can decide to let it run us over and for it to drive our behavior and our mood and the quality of our life, and ultimately then we will become victims of this reality. It's not easy, but there are tools, and I'm going to share them with you. According to I can never pronounce his name properly, I really have to work on that, Stricharzek and Klo, they really did a lot of studies on what mental toughness is, and what they separated is into 5 core fields: positive thinking, anxiety control, visualization, goal setting, and attention control. But here's the thing, it's too broad. How do you actually apply that? So the challenge that is frustrating me personally with webinars today or information shared by people in the self-development field is they are supporting us, and I'm not being judgmental here, with a lot of theories. If you go online and you read a lot of blogs, they have a lot of theories, but not a lot of tools. So the theory makes sense, but how do I apply it? And today's session is all about application. So I'm going to share with you the reasoning why and the information collected, including the resources and references used for these studies. But more importantly, I want to actually share with you what people are doing, and we know it's actually working, including myself. So step 1, let's understand the vagus nerve. Look, the vagus nerve is that huge nerve that you can see here in this picture that starts from the brain. It's in yellow, goes all the way down the spinal cord, and really it's much bigger than that, interacts with all our organs. It means it sends information from our brain down through our heart, through our lungs, through our stomach, through our digestive tract, to our organs, all the way down to the feet. And it affects every single cell in your body, okay? It's vital to understand that. So it's the highway of information, and the types of information that go down the vagus nerve are two. I'm super simplifying, but for the sake of this webinar. One is I'm under danger and threat, and the second is I can relax and I'm okay, I'm safe. And this is what we tend to call the sympathetic and parasympathetic system. Now, what is the neurotransmitter that activates the vagus nerve, telling it that we are in a state of danger? And that is acetylcholine, okay, which is a neurotransmitter that was, I think, discovered back in the 1800s, late 1800s. In fact, I think it's the first neurotransmitter that was discovered, if I remember the study correctly. And it's the neurotransmitter, when it's actually pumped out by the brain, it will tranquilize the vagus nerve and cause the vagus nerve to chill out. And it's so vital that we cause the vagus nerve to chill out, because once it's chill, so is the rest of our body. I'm trying to use common tongue terms to make this sound a lot simpler. So starting off here in this picture, you can see the brain up on top and the body at the bottom, and you have something called downstream information, so from brain to body, and upstream information from body to brain. And this is to explain to us that really, at the end of the day, the vagus nerve is a two-way highway, and organs can tell us that we need to stress out, and the brain can tell organs that they need to stress out. Now, what does that mean? If you ate something that's bad and you're starting to feel that you're poisoned, your stomach and your digestive system will send information up the vagus nerve to the brain, and will also release neurotransmitters into your body telling you that you are sick and you need to rest, so it can allow you the time to actually get and detoxify your body and send that stuff out. Your brain can be walking down the street and suddenly hear a weird sound at night, and that will cause all your system to go alert, and you'll start sending out adrenaline into your body, and it will notify your muscles that they have to be ready for a fight, and it will tell your organs, take a pause, take a break. Right now is not the time to digest. Right now is the time to run, fight, or hide. So what these responses are flight and fight. Now, these are all good if we're doing it for 10 minutes. We're doing it for a day, maximum a week. It's very bad if we're doing it for long term. Why? Because when your body stops sending nutrients, oxygen, everything that is elementally necessary to your organs start to perform at their lowest capacity, and that leads to what we call chronic fatigue and chronic illness and depression. So being bored is a form of depression potentially if you feel disconnected and detached. Being anxious all the time can be exhausting for your nerves. All these things can be very painful. So what is the cost of staying the same? What is the cost of not taking action? So today, the tools that I'm going to share with you, these 6 tools, are designed to make a massive difference in your life. First of all, they are all free, okay? So everything I'm shared with you, mostly, except for a few items in the end, are free. But you have free items and you have paid items, so it's your choice. So nobody can tell me I can't afford this or I don't have a credit card, all right? The second thing is all of them are simple to use. You can do them in no more than 2 minutes a day per exercise. So you can choose the exercises you like, and I chose a variety of exercises depending on the person that's watching this webinar. So that if you're the kind of person who likes to do physical activity to calm down, you got it. If you're like the person who likes to do mental activity to calm down, you got it. If you're the person who likes to do research to figure out why you should do this, you got it. I'm trying to tailor it to all your brains so nobody can come back and tell me, hopefully, that, hey, none of these actually work for me. And I've never heard that yet. So, and if you do, then there's something for me to learn and there's a way for me to improve this webinar. So that's definitely something I'm super open to, okay? Starting off, for those who haven't or who just joined, please remember, you can interact with us directly by going to menti.com and using the code 675603. I'm leaving it on the screen for a couple of seconds because there's a lot more participants now who joined. That way you can still also be interactive with us. Give me a thumbs up, likes, hearts, whatever it is, just to keep me knowing that I'm doing a good job. Starting off, exercise 1, 2, and 3 are in the same application. Why? Because this guy is amazing. Wim Hof is incredible. He's really someone that is worth researching. Check him out on YouTube. He's called the Iceman. He's broken 28 Guinness Book World Records. He's been studied and prodded and tested in laboratories for 20 years to verify his information. This is no hocus pocus, trendy, energy healing kind of experience, and I'm not downgrading energy healing because it's important, but I'm talking, it's not one of those trends, okay? This is actual science, researched, tested on many, many people, proven that it works. So it's your choice to take advantage of it or not. One, breathing. The first thing that the vagus nerve will affect when it's in a parasympathetic system, when it's in a stressed system, is your ability to breathe properly. And I don't know if you know someone during the beginning of the COVID pandemic situation, a lot of people were complaining about what we call ghost symptoms, right? They were having experiences of COVID even though they didn't have it. So sore throat, difficulty breathing, anxiety, tingling fingers, hands, fever increasing by half a degree or a degree, and then it wouldn't go above. And these are all caused by the brain because the media did such a fantastic job at poisoning our minds that it caused us to start to truly believe that COVID was a reality upon us, even though a lot of people were safe and good. And so this is a very important thing to understand. And when that happens, when you allow garbage into your brain, what's going to happen is your body is going to do what you believe. And so the first thing it affects is the breathing system. Wim Hof's breathing system is great for two things. The exercise takes no more than 2 minutes, literally 2 minutes. And what it does is sends a lot of oxygen into your lungs, allowing you to shift from the parasympathetic to the sympathetic system. It naturally causes the brain to release the neurotransmitters that relax the vagus nerve. And not only does it do that, it oxygenates your body, it opens up your lungs, which are necessary for a COVID situation anyways, and it temporarily turns your body alkaline. These are all proven by studies, which means it's the optimal condition in your body for your immune system to be boosted. And it also helps you to detox. And finally, it will teach you control over your stress response. So if you practice this enough, you'll actually be able to slow down your heart rate like I do now because of these exercises. I can bring my heart rate down on command from 80 or 90 beats a minute down to 60 beats a minute and even down to 50 when I'm in a state of meditation or I'm doing this type of breathing. It's phenomenal, okay? So do try that out. The second thing is exercise 2, which is commitment, and this is about mind management, and we call this exercises, typically exercise 1 is breath work, exercise number 2 is called mental work. So here we're talking about mindfulness. We're talking about being able to center our mind so our mind doesn't start to storm us with garbage ideas that are replayed over and over and over again. If you feel that you have ideas coming in your head, questions that are negative or judgments all the time, whether from you or other people, this mental exercise helps you center. It helps you to keep your mind focused. So you see one thing at a time and you handle one task at a time, and that's the most effective way to get through a challenging situation like this. It also allows you to raise your dopamine, which we'll talk about in a bit. And finally, cold showers. I'm super well aware that in the GCC, in the peak of summer, cold showers isn't something that's going to really be available to us. So I have a lot of friends who live, for example, in Dubai, who actually have fridges at home, freezers that they bought, filled with ice. And what they do is they fill up the bath with the coldest water possible, and they throw the ice in it, and they do a cold immersion. And if you just look at all the benefits from cold showers, you'll be shocked. Why? Let me explain this concept very quickly for you with your permission. So the first thing is, look at the way your body is living right now. We live within 6 walls, right? The floor, the ceiling, and the 4 walls surrounding, and usually those walls are closed by glass. Doesn't that look like an aquarium to you? And inside of an aquarium, wouldn't you have controlled temperature? That's what our air conditioning does, or heating does. Wouldn't you have a controlled environment? That's what our air filtration system does. So what happens is, we sit on sofas all day, we chill out, we relax, we're on computers all day. We're not really doing a lot of movement unless you exercise in the gym. And even that's not enough, because gym exercise only targets and challenges a certain type of muscle in your body, but it doesn't subject your body to actual threat. So what we've learned now in neurobiology is, if we expose ourselves to critical elements, and critical means extreme conditions, like the cold or like the heat, okay, our body activates genes in our blood that actually tell our body that we're in a state of survival, physical survival, not stress survival. And then it starts to do massive repair and upgrade and actually enhances our genetic formula. We call this epigenetics. So the expression of your genes through a set of conditions. So the quality food that you eat, the way you live, exposing yourself to challenging conditions on a regular basis actually make you stronger. That's what fasting does in Ramadan and in Easter. Fasting actually causes your body to consider itself under threat. And so your body prepares you for a fight. And that's why fasting and sports increase the number of cells in your brain. It actually rejuvenates your brain. How cool is that? So we know that these type of stressful conditions actually make us stronger. And we know we don't have to be in that condition all the time, but we need to do it enough times in order to keep the body awake, alive, active, and ready for anything. So this is a very good set of exercises in this app. Moving on. Visualization. The memory and your imagination is incredible because we live based on a perceived experience, a holographic experience for those that would like to go advanced, if we want to talk quantum mechanics and quantum physics. We don't actually live the moment. Our brain takes in the information through our senses, creates a picture, and then projects that back in our head. And we live a delayed moment by microseconds of what's actually happening. And then we add all our filters and layers to that. That's what most of you who have studied NLP will know this. So what does that mean? That means the picture we see about the world around us is never actually pure. It's our own version based on our belief systems, our values, our reality. And the reality of this is what we think becomes what we experience. Meaning that, and what do I mean? If you imagine that you're talking to your vagus nerve and you're telling it to relax, it will. If you imagine your vagus nerve right now, if you just imagine your vagus nerve visually, visualize it going through all your body, talk to it and say, I invite you to relax. I invite you to relax. I invite you to relax. Starting with the top of my head, I invite you to relax, going down to my heart, going down to my stomach, releasing all the emotions, all the anger, all the frustration, all the negative feelings, releasing all the stress, releasing my shoulders, loosening up my muscle fibers, sending oxygen deep into my body. So these types of exercises, visualization exercises, which are sometimes put under concepts like meditation. There's so many apps out there like Vana or Calm or Headspace that allow you to do these kinds of exercises, will help you to visualize the vagus nerve relaxing, and it can be super effective for a lot of you who are visual too. Exercise number 5, avoid the contagion. What do I mean by that? Guys, the only disease that we can catch just by sight, so if I see this disease, I catch it, and it's absolutely contagious, is stress and negativity. So in a situation like this right now, stop the news. Why do I need to know every 10 minutes that another person caught COVID? How is it actually going to make any difference in my world? Do I know these people physically? No. Control your current environment. It's important to know that COVID is still spreading, but I don't need to check this every single hour, every single day. I can check it every 3 days. The truth is the news is manipulated, and the majority of the time, I'm not against the news, but the quality of the information they provide us with is always the worst case scenario. I don't want that garbage in my brain. I don't want that garbage in my reality. I don't want to pollute my information. And if people around me that I live with or I'm stuck with are also negative, I don't want to judge them, but I definitely want to separate myself from them or put conditions and limits. At least if they say something negative, I counter in my mind and I say the absolute opposite. So avoid negativity because we are programmed to function as a herd. Your physical body is programmed to go with the flow. That's why we call peer pressure, right? When you go to school and you're young, and then other people do this, so you do this, everyone gets a new Nikes or Adidas, so you go get the new Nikes and Adidas because you want to fit in. That's peer pressure, that's herd behavior. So today, if everyone's scared around you and you're the only one who's not, if you stick around them for a long time, you will eventually start to accept that as a status quo and your brain will reward you for being scared. That's how crazy it is. So try to avoid negative people and don't judge them, please. And finally, one of the best ways also to relax the vagus nerve is physical movement. I'm not just talking about exercise. Studies show now that if we do HIT types of exercises, which are high intensity exercises, for 3 times a week, for 5 minutes only, it's as if we went to the gym for our cardiovascular system and for our immune system, okay? So what I'm saying is try different ways to be active. You can go to yoga and Tai Chi, physical exercises. I'm not asking you to adopt any culture or any theory. I'm just asking you to consider physical exercises like deep breathing that relax you with physical movements that stretch your body, very good for you. And at the same point in time, doing some active movements, because these active movements move the circulation of the body, and that allows your blood to work properly and send all the nutrients that your organs and muscles need so that they are ready and the immune system can circulate fast enough to catch all the viruses in your blood and kaput them, kill them all. So it's so important to do that. I hope you're enjoying this. These are our 6 exercises for the vagus nerve. So let's repeat them and tell me which of these vagus exercises will you commit to today to applying in your life to make a difference and to having a better quality experience. So is it breathing? Is it cold showers? Is it meditation? Is it visualizing the vagus nerve? Is it HIIT exercises? Or are you going to do all of them? And I think that would be amazing and phenomenal. So I'm going to give you about 10 seconds. Plug that information in. Trust me, it's going to make a massive difference. And while you do that, I'm just going to grab a tissue really, really quickly in 1 second. Thank you so much. Phenomenal. So a lot of us are choosing to avoid the contagion. That makes a big difference, and that disconnects us from external triggers that cause us stress, but we also need to work internally to correct the state that we're in. So breathing is amazing, meditation, cold shower. I see cold showers is never really the most, let's say, wanted exercise, but really it feels amazing. For the ladies who are watching this, it's phenomenal for your skin, phenomenal. It traps all the moisture in, heat actually dries your skin, and it can be so beneficial for your body. Guys, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for your feedback. I am super excited. I hope you found this information to be very practical and simple. You can do research on any of these afterwards, and I will share this presentation in the end with the team at the University of Manchester so that they can send it to you by email if you'd like, or you can connect with me at the end of this talk and I will be able to send it to you, all right? Moving on, to keep things moving quickly, now we're going to talk about the neurobiology. So the neuroscience, sorry. We talked about the body. Now we're going to talk about using the chemicals of the brain. So really, it is important to understand that one of the most vital neurotransmitters that change our mood, make us excited, reward us for hard work or for doing things that we love doing, right, is dopamine. I love this neurotransmitter, but it can be super addictive, and if used improperly, can actually be detrimental to our health. That's why social media is garbage for your brain. Garbage. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying reduce it, reduce it, reduce it. It's so bad for your brain, okay? So what do we need to know? Dopamine has the capacity to really make an amazing feeling in our body, whether we're excited or whether we're like, yes, I won, all right? And the best way to increase dopamine is through these 6 exercises. Why? Because dopamine also supports the vagus nerve and shifts us from a position of mental weakness to a position of mental toughness. Can I be mentally tough if my body is weak or in pain? No. So that's why we worked on neurobiology. Can I be mentally tough if my body's strong but my mind is always stressed and negative? No. That's why we're working on dopamine. So exercise number 1. Keep those likes coming, thumbs up. Let me know if I'm doing a good job, all right? 1, priming your brain. Priming is a fantastic tool when it comes to reprogramming your mind. So if you look at your phone, you've got a bunch of apps in there, right? And think of your phone, the physical phone, as the actual brain, the physical organ in your head, right? And the software, the operating system, so if it's Android or let's say iOS, is actually your mind and subconscious mind, to super simplify. And the apps, sorry for this, these microphones always get in my way, are the actual programs that you've learned over time. Some of these programs are good for you. Some of these programs are not. Some of them worked for you when you were young and they no longer work for you now. Some of them worked for you in your previous job or previous stage in your life. So if you're 20 and now you're 30, you've become a completely different human being. If you were 20 and now you're 50, you're a completely different human being. So you need to adapt and upgrade your programs in order to upgrade the results in your life. And how you do that is very, very simple. We got to work on priming our brain, changing our belief systems. Now, there are many studies on changing beliefs. I don't have the time to get into this right now. You can research it. But the first thing that you can do is a visualization exercise to release dopamine immediately, to give you the dopamine hit. It's like a pill. How do you do that? Take a deep breath. Try to do this with me if you don't mind. If you're at home or you're not, please make sure you're not driving or anything like that or operating machinery, okay? If you're at home, take a deep breath. The more you oxygenate the brain, the more the brain is active. Oxygen is very important for the brain. And then try to think back right now Give yourself the permission to think back to a memory in the past, a moment when something happened to you that was so positive, so amazing, so incredible, something that you wanted, something that you succeeded in, something that you enjoyed, something that you were gifted, something that you really loved experiencing. Try to remember that specific moment and try to remember the specific moment in that moment when you felt amazing. Try to see it. See the things that you experienced during that time. Hear the sounds that were there. Feel the feelings that you felt during that time. Smell the smells and the entire experience. Immerse your five senses. It's like a 5D movie. Feel it in your body. And if you remember the specific moment, if it comes to mind right now, you're going to feel a little shift in your body. And we're not even doing this exercise fully. And that shift means your body just released a bunch of neurotransmitters which are meant to make you happy. That could be dopamine. See, it's already happening to me. That could be endorphins. That could be oxytocin. All the good stuff that's free, that your brain can offer you, that is legal. All right? So please take advantage of that. Visualization really, really works. Remember a specific moment. That's exercise 1. Guys, am I going too fast? If I'm not going too fast, please let me know. If I'm going too fast, send me a message on the chat. Let me know. I opened up the chat so I can see it. Please let me know, because I go fast to keep you engaged. But if you think it's too fast for you, if I'm speaking too quick in English, just let me know. All right? 2. Exercise number 2 is, look, let's be realistic. How many of you have wanted to quit smoking? How many of you have wanted to stop eating fatty or sugary food? How many of you have made commitments to yourself to do something that really would benefit your body and just never happened? Didn't carry through. You did it for a week and then you quit. Why? Because you rely a lot on willpower, on discipline. And unless you are militarily trained or you've really worked in developing your discipline, pleasure is always going to win. That's just the way the brain is designed. So there is a trick to this. First, you need to hack the pleasure equation before you use willpower. Willpower is there and necessary, but the pleasure equation is more important because we need to rewire our brain. We need to rethink how our brain releases dopamine. So this sample or a graph is very beneficial in illustrating that. Let's think about doing sports. A lot of people don't like to do sports. However, sports is good for us. We know that. Scientifically, it's proven. If you do exercise of any kind, you're going to benefit. Better health, better wealth, right? Better quality of living. So really, at number 1, you start off doing sports and the idea of it is disgusting for you. You can see your body is like, ugh. All right. And then you move up to step 2 and then you're just like, I'm doing this, but I'm not really excited about it. You're doing sports that's hard enough to challenge you, but gentle enough to not shock you. Because some people do it in the wrong way, right? You jump to the gym and then you do 2-hour workout. Then you come back, you're sore for a week and you're like, I cannot do this anymore. My friends, step by step, build a habit, bit by bit, moment by moment. So what we're trying to say here is, if you really try to increase the reasons why you should do the sports and you do it regularly, you will move from stage 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, where eventually you'll become addicted to it. That's why people who really do the gym and have seen a difference have become addicted to it, and their body releases dopamine every time they do it. Now, here's how you do it. Please grab a pen and paper, something, write down somewhere, anywhere, on your phone, anything you want. Just write this down. Choose any activity that you want to do that's going to improve your life. To change your belief about it and to set the proper foundation, you need to ask yourself smart questions. The first set of questions need to be pain-oriented questions. So 1, let me do the example of health. If I say I want to improve my overall health by, let's say, exercising daily, but I'm not motivated to get off my potato couch because I've been watching Netflix for 2 weeks, eating happy food and all that kind of stuff. So how do I do this? 1, I start to write down all the things that will happen to me that are negative and those around me if I don't take action. So I want to increase the pain on one end. And how I do that, I ask questions like this. What would happen if I stayed like this? What is the price of not doing exercise? What is the price of staying unhealthy? What is the price of my body becoming less and less immune to COVID? What is the price of me getting older faster? What is the price of me experiencing more pain in my body and more aches and more inflammation? How will that affect me in the long term? How will it affect me now? How will it affect me in the future? So I'm asking questions. How will that impact my children? What role model am I showing? Is this the example I want to show them? Is this the example for my community? How will that affect my income? How will that affect my ability for my brain to make calculated decisions when it really counts? How will that affect my ability to survive? So all these questions increase the brain's capacity to understand and to raise pain. On the other spectrum, you need to increase pleasure. Okay, so we're moving from pain towards pleasure. And how you increase pleasure is by asking questions like this. What do I gain from doing this? What will I take if I do exercises? What changes will happen if I exercise daily? What benefits will that give me? So make me younger, makes me more vibrant, makes me more active, makes me more happy, releases dopamine, etc. So you list as many pain points as you can, even if they are dumb, as many as you can. So you have like 50 pain points if you don't act, and 50 pleasure points if you do act, and your brain gets reprogrammed. The moment that equation becomes right, there's a click in your brain, and instantly you feel a shift. And when that happens, you're ready to apply willpower. So that's pleasure beats willpower. The third exercise is achieving mini goals. Mini goals means in today's environment, we don't reward ourselves enough for all the hard work we're doing. So break your daily tasks into little steps. And then when you finish the step, no matter how simple it seems or how silly it seems or how much you take it for granted, reward yourself. Sometimes as simple as saying, good job, John. I used to do something that when I was younger, my mom used to always laugh at, if you allow me to share the story with you. I don't know how many of you do this, but does anyone here kiss himself? Because I do that all the time. Okay, I'll be watching TV or something, sitting in this position, and then I start kissing my bicep. It's not about that I'm a super muscular guy anymore. I'm not. I just, I exercise well, but it's more about the fact that sometimes I feel like I just want to give myself love and appreciate all the hard work that I'm doing. And the things that I do to make that a reality is I ask myself 3 very powerful questions that I learned from Tony Robbins and several other coaches who talk about self-development, which are the following. Maybe you want to write them down. The first is, what have I done today that I'm proud of? The second is, what have I done today that made a difference for someone, for example? Okay. The third is, what am I grateful for today? You could add something like that. The fourth is, what have I learned today, or what have I changed or benefited or improved? Fifth is, what have I become aware of that I can make a difference, and change in my life? So by asking these questions to summarize your day, it helps you to really recognize all the blessings that you have. And we're really blessed. I mean, we're in a world today, we have internet and so many other things. Can you imagine if we got COVID 25 years ago? It would have been horrible. Thank you to all the medical industry who's taking care of us. Thank you to all the food and beverage industry who's allowing us to survive during these difficult times, the farmers, the supermarkets, all these people laboring, to the logistics industry that's transporting all this good stuff to us, and to the people in the IT industry who are making sure that we still have the internet and we can still connect and we can watch Netflix and have amusement to keep our minds off trouble. Wow, what a blessed time to live in. Moving on. Engineering belief. Sorry for this picture. I don't mean this in any negative way for those who are fasting, but really it's trying to prove a point. And I did this design for the presentation earlier. I'm sure you can forgive me. It's not a big deal. What it's showing is, when you're promised something, so here you can see a picture of what is promised in the advertisement and then what is actually delivered. And it's so important to understand that if you promise your body and you promise your brain that the world is bad, that's exactly what you're going to get. If your expectations of this current time is here and your reality is here, you're going to feel terrible. You're not going to get dopamine boosts. You're going to feel down, okay, and many other things. So you have 2 choices. You either increase your reality to match your expectations by making changes now, positive changes that change your life, like I'm showing you all these exercises, or you adjust your expectations to match your reality. And I would recommend you do both, because in reality, like I just said, we're so blessed. And then from the other side, it's also troubling. So we got to think about, what differences can we do now? What tasks can I take over now? What things can I improve in my quality of my life today? What can I improve in my software, in my brain? What can I upgrade? What can I learn? What can I read? What can I enhance? What things can I solve as a problem? What can I stop and reflect? Sometimes it's not about taking action. Sometimes it's about shutting up and being silent and listening, observing, learning, seeing things that you have not seen before, discovering things that surround you that you've not recognized before, and enriching your experience. Exercise number 5. One more and then we'll be done. I thank you so much for your patience. Discipline. Discipline is about organization, guys. Without an organized mind, without a disciplined life, you will have challenges all the time. And we are so blessed that we have this amazing computer that we can take around with us every day that has many, many free tools to make a difference in our life. And I listed for you here in this webinar, you can see lots and lots of different applications. Many of them are absolutely free that you guys can use to make a massive difference in your life. Okay, from Todoist to Microsoft To Do to so forth, and they help you to organize your life and they help you to tick off tasks. Ticking off a task means a dopamine release. Every time you tick off a task, it's releasing dopamine into your system, and that is rewarding your brain and making you feel successful. Why? Because as men, we need testo, and wins give us testo. And as women, we need estrogen, and wins give us estrogen. Okay? This is why we need little wins. When we finish our tasks and we complete them and we organize them, we feel that by the end of the day, we've done a lot. How many of you here are doing so much, and by the end of the day, you're like, oh my God, I've got nothing done yet? If you've experienced that, then that shows you that what's missing is a bit of organization and discipline, and that will boost dopamine in your system. And finally, last but not least, whoops, I think I stepped out of this. Here we go. Compartmentalization. What does that mean? In this character, you can see the picture. These two ladies are having a chit chat, and then you've got the son in a little box, the cat, the husband, and whatsoever. And what that really is the ability to take big problems, break them down little chunks, and each space for itself. So for example, if I have a relationship challenge right now in COVID, and I have a financial challenge, and I have a family challenge, and I have a communication challenge and a health challenge, don't put them all in the same box, guys. It's too much to handle. Break them down. Imagine relationship problem, take it, put it in a little box, close the box, put it on the side. You have a financial challenge, take it, put it in a little box, make it small, put it in the box, close it, put it to the side. Put them all to the side and then choose to handle one box at a time. If you don't like that example, another exercise I've designed for the coachees that I work with is imagine you have a desk, okay, like your workspace. And imagine that each one of these problems, I was just trying to see if I had a folder, is a folder. You open up the file, right? And in this file, you have everything related to your health. Close the file, put it in your filing drawer. And then just handle one file at a time on your desk, not all of them. Because when you compartmentalize, you're much more focused. You don't have to do multitasking. You feel you're accomplishing so much more. You handle one problem at a time, and you list the things that you need to do, and it makes a massive difference in dopamine release and many other things for your brain. It allows you some clear space. Clean, focused, organized. So, which dopamine boosting exercises will you incredible, amazing people apply daily? Okay, you've got these 6 incredible exercises to release dopamine. You don't have to do them all, but you have a selection. So one day you can do this, another day you can do another. You can create a habit. It's up to you. You can prime your brain. You can increase your reasons for pleasure and increase your reasons of pain of not doing it. So increasing the reason of pain. You can achieve mini goals and reward yourself for doing that mini goal. You can engineer belief by managing your expectations, dropping them or increasing them, and raising or increasing your reality. And also not telling yourself negative words, using the right words to reward yourself. You are enough. You are amazing. And you want to take that and apply it to yourself. I am enough. I can do it, because what's going to help you through these difficult times is self-confidence, self-assuredness, and safety. Self-confidence, self-assurance, and safety. And finally, if you're lucky, to feel absolutely loved. These come by starting with yourself. If you love yourself, you'll take care of yourself. So which one of these are you going to do? Amazing, guys. I'm loving the responses. Priming your brain. By the way, I wrote the titles in a way, if you search on Google, you'll find the responses. So many articles, so much information. And I'm super happy and honored, if you will allow me, to work with you as a coach, to assist you in applying any of these. And I'm not talking about charging money or anything. We'll discuss what you want to do, and a lot of it might not require that. What's important for me is that you get the results, okay? So that's the most important thing. Wow, 29 people responding. I'm just going to wait a little bit more to give you a chance. Again, you can go to menti.com, plug in the code 675603, because the next couple of slides will require a Menti. Really appreciate you being logged on and assisting me in this process. I'm going to check really quickly right now to see how we're doing. Awesome. Looks like a lot of people are going to work on daily discipline, and that's so important. I really hope this is being very beneficial to you. Let's move on to the next slide. Essential reading. You can use your phone to take a picture of this. You can screenshot it if you're using your phone in Mentimeter, or you're going to get this in the end if you request it from me or from Hiba or from anyone else at the university. Bottom line is, these are some great books to read, okay? Really beneficial for you. They will upgrade the apps in your brain. They will upgrade your software. And the better belief systems you have, the better platform you have for quality thinking, it's going to improve the quality of your life and the choices you make and the results in your life. So it's so vital, so important, okay? So I'll just wait for about 10 more seconds and then jump to the next slide. I hope you're enjoying this, by the way. I hope I'm doing a decent job for you. Moving on, references. In these documents, you'll see a lot of references. There's a lot of information, a lot of research went into this to make sure that we're sticking to the necessary information. Now's the time to ask me questions. Drop those questions, okay? Let me know if you have any questions related to everything we talked about. Keep it specific, please. Don't give me generalized questions because it will be very hard to answer here in the group. I'm happy to answer your questions. Anything you want to ask me, you can use Mentimeter right now. Click your question and drop it over to me so that I can answer your questions.
We'll start taking the questions now, John. So should we start with the first one?
Yes, if you have some, yes, let's go for it.
Okay. So the first question is asking, how do you avoid negativity around us? In the business, we sometimes have to work with people who are negative and give you negative vibes or comments, which creates stress and anxiety. How do you avoid this when working with people? And you know that you have to work with them, but these are negative people.
A very common question, very important question. I'm not sure who asked it, but thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. What I'd like to... I'm so sorry?
Shahzad asked the question.
Oh, thank you so much. Shahzad, thank you so much for asking that question. And one of the things that you can do is to create a mental filter. So, you know, the reason why a lot of this negativity tends to affect us is because we judge the people asking us the questions, right? So if a little child came up to you and they asked you the question and it was negative, but it was a little child, you wouldn't have a negative impact because you're not judging them, because you don't feel threatened by them. Sometimes you can't avoid these people physically. Sometimes you have to work with them. So what I tend to do is I tend to shift my mind from a judgmental mindset where I say, oh my God, here we go again, to what can I learn from this? By simply making this switch in perception and trying to be inquisitive, like considering like, wow, this person's really effective at being negative all the time. How do they accomplish that? That's fantastic. That's perfect. So you turn it into a bit of humor. And the second thing you can do is say, all right, so instead of carrying previous experiences with me about this person and then judging their behavior, try to reset every single time you have an experience with them. So that means if you're working with negative people or you're living with negative people, you're used to them complaining, don't step into the conversation and start it based on your previous beliefs, even though the chances are they're going to do the same thing. You need to start the conversation from scratch, from zero, every single time. And by doing that, the impact on you negatively will be minimal. When you have an inquisitive nature and you go, wow, this is so interesting. What are they really saying? What do they really need? Where is their pain? What can I learn from this? How can this serve me to become better at what I'm doing? Or what can I learn not to do in the future when I'm a leader? So asking powerful questions also helps us to disconnect from the emotional impact of that negativity. And finally, if honestly you can't escape it and you're not happy, you're not enjoying it, find an alternative path in your life. It might be a sign it's time for you to switch directions. I hope this is helpful.
Okay, so we have another question from Sharif. Sharif is asking if you can give a brief about the resilient zone, and can we deep this zone, or how can we relate to the exercises that you mentioned with the resilience zone?
Sure. Sharif, thank you so much for that question. You know, when we talk about the resilience zone, it's so specific to you and your own ecology, right? So each person has their own capacity for greater resilience or less resilience, for more impact, less impact. So in fact, to just give a standard answer would not make sense. The mental toughness exercises will absolutely increase the zone. That's what SWAT teams and Marines and people in special forces do. They are exposed to massive amounts of pain so that their capacity for heightened resilience is raised so high that nothing really shakes them that much. So here, if I understood your question correctly, your ability to manage your capacity for resilience is relative to the toning of the vagus nerve and the mental toning of your mindset, beliefs, and let's say, software tools that you use in your brain from the experience that you have around you. So that can definitely make a very positive, impactful difference. I would invite you to try it and get back to me and let me know.
Somebody's asking, how can we apply mental resilience on our relationships? Perhaps he means personal relationships.
I see a lot of questions here that are coming in too. All right. So
Yes.
look, some people think about the need for mental resilience on a relationship, but when you ask for mental resilience in a relationship, that means that we're asking the wrong questions. And the reason for that is because if our partners are causing us pain, either that pain is generated by us both, or that means they are feeling unsafe and something's missing. There's a fantastic book I can recommend that can actually offer you some massive solutions to that. The book is called, let me just open up my Audible, Getting the Love You Want. Getting the Love You Want by Harville Hendrix. It's the only one with that title, Getting the Love You Want. It's a really beautiful book about relationships and communication and eliminating pain and building trust and safety. And I promise you, from the first chapter, you will get many answers to a lot of the questions that you have on how to become more resilient with your partner. So you move on. I see a lot on my end too. Would you like me to read some and Mentimeter?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Can this apply for kids? Absolutely. In fact, kids will be able to do this way better than you because they don't have the old programming that we've carried on. So as adults, we're more stiff. Kids are very malleable. You teach this to them once and they pick it up like this. So totally recommended. How to remotivate ourselves every day during this hard time. Motivation is about what you believe. If you believe that there is opportunity for you, you believe that you're enough, and you follow your dreams, then you will be motivated. But if your belief systems are that you are a victim, or you experience living as a victim of this experience, that's going to cause you traumas. So the first thing you need to do is upgrade your software. A great book to read is Change Your Questions, Change Your Life. Change Your Questions, Change Your Life. Fantastic book to read to re-motivate you. And there's a beautiful program on Mind Valley called Lifebook. It's a little bit long. It's done really slow, but the content is fantastic. So what that means is by re-evaluating the different areas in our life, or working with a life coach or a coach who can do life apart from other things, you can actually go back through your processes and rewrite your meaning and targets for every area of your life, which will actually increase your motivation tremendously, because we start with beliefs first. Everything else that you do is just a patching up work. Beliefs need to initially be adjusted for motivation to be permanent up until the stage that you change again. Can you please share the recorded sessions link? I believe, Hiba, if with your permission to do that. Okay. How to deal with toxic people. I think we covered that a little bit. I want to do some online courses, but I just get procrastinated and never finish the course. I would need to handle that personally to understand the reasons for your procrastination, but there are many, many reasons for that. Try the exercise that has to do with pain and pleasure, and that might make a big shift for you. If not, reach out to me. On average, how long these exercises need to be done, i.e. 4 to 6 months. Next year, COVID is over. Look, it's just like brushing your teeth. If you do some of these exercises daily, they become part of your routine, and they'll continuously reward you, and they're free, and they're simple, and they take less than 2 minutes. Why wouldn't you? I mean, the question is not about how long you should do it for. The question is, how much benefit am I going to keep getting? So as long as you're benefiting, keep doing it. Play around with them. Try different ones. See which one works better for you over time. Can we apply mental resilience on relationships? So we covered that. How long can we stay under a stressful situation without a mental impact which can be turned backwards anymore? No such thing as it cannot be turned backwards. So get that belief out of your mind. Your brain is neuroelastic. You can absolutely turn everything backwards. There's always a price to pay, and sometimes taking the shift back requires more energy and more pain. That's why some people feel like it cannot be done. It can. It can always be done. There's always the ability for you to change. Your brain is software. Change the software, you change your reality. So don't let anybody tell you that you cannot change. That's an absolute fallacy. Now, the most important thing to keep in mind here, just to wrap that question up very quickly, is your mental resilience is relative to your resilience zone. Like the question was asked, I think, by Sharif originally, which means you build that muscle, you handle more. If you have a really big muscle and you carry 5 kilos, you can keep carrying and holding that 5 kilos for an hour. But if you have a really weak muscle and you carry 5 kilos, you won't hold it for more than 3 minutes. So the question here is about how much resilience you need, how much mental toughness, and also if you're stuck by not making changes in your life. So these tools make you mentally tough, but also you're required to make big decisions in your life to change the rhythm of your life. So that rhythm is like music. Choose the rhythm that you like, the rhythm that works best for you, okay? What is cultural engineering? Oh, that's a big question. In this case, cultural engineering is re-engineering belief systems and cultural habits in relation to companies or governments or people. So everything we do is based on a set of rules. These rules we call culture. And this culture scape is imprinted on top of our reality. Sometimes culture is effective and sometimes culture is bad, because sometimes we carry cultural rules hundreds of years old that no longer apply to our reality, and it becomes something that holds us back. So cultural engineering is being able to identify which rules apply for today and get us the results we want and which rules don't, and how we can change the brain software and process to make that difference. All right, I think I answered all the questions for now. Moving on. If you like what I've done so far and we've done a good job for you, please give me some feedback, okay? Would make a big difference to me. Really would let me know if I did a good job. The delivery, quality of information, method of interactivity, pace and speed. I think I'm a bit fast for you, but I'm just trying to keep things exciting. One quick second while I give you a moment. And I'm back. If you can go to menti.com and help me out with that, that would mean the world to me. Also help me to become a better person at what I do. Okay, so I can see I can do a better job at my method of interactive delivery and me as a person. So please do share with me that information in the next slide and let me know how to do a better job, how to make this more interesting for you, and how to be more engaging or deliver better quality information for you. So that would be my absolute pleasure. Okay, thank you so much. I'm still waiting. I'll just give this about 5 more minutes to get the continued feedback from you. And that way take a break from talking a lot. Great. Thank you so much for your feedback. I always am ready to learn and to do a better result. So I would really love to have in the next slides, if you give me feedback, if you want to be contacted by me or whatsoever, or just tell me, you know, I like this, but I didn't like that, or you're annoying, or you talk too fast, or whatever it is, it would make a very big difference for me. So far, really appreciating your feedback. We'll just wait 10 more seconds and jump to the next slide. How you doing, Hiba?
I'm doing very well. I can see some thank you notes also on the question section. Everybody's thanking you for the session. It was really very enlightening, and for your positivity.
Thank you so much. Really my honor.
So thank you all for joining us today. While we're waiting for the results to come out, I just want to remind you all that you can reach out straight away to John on his social media platforms, which he's going to share. If you have any questions, you can ask him directly. We will be sharing the recording of the session and the slides after the session. We also have a series of webinars that are running in the future. So to learn more about these and to register for these, go to our website, which is the University of Manchester website, www.manchester.ac.ae, and go to the events section to learn more about our events. Feedback, suggestions, and future topics. That's nice. We would like to ask you also about future topics.
Yes, sure. It would be my pleasure. By the way, please know that anything you fill in here is absolutely incognito, so I won't know who answered what. So you're absolutely private, but do give me feedback. It's okay. I'm super happy with constructive feedback because that's the only way we learn and grow. No one's perfect. So really, really, really excited to hear back from you. If this has been beneficial to you and if you require further information, the next slide will allow you to send me your contact information and I'll reach out to you. You can put in your first name, last name, email, and phone number. I promise there's no, I don't do any emailing. I don't like that. So you can feel free to share that information. It will just only be for me to contact you directly and serve you better. Let's see. Okay, thank you so much. Grateful. Can you do this more often? I'm so grateful for the University of Manchester and for Hiba for allowing me the opportunity and considering me someone capable of delivering some valuable information to you. So
Thank you. It was a
I
pleasure.
believe you're already doing that, Hiba, right? Many different topics, many amazing people who are coming up and discussing this information.
We are,
Thanks,
yes, we
guys.
are.
That's my
So thank
reward.
you.
Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, John, for coming on board and for delivering the webinar today. That was very, much needed. And it's a topic that is being talked about, but not enough. So we're happy that we have addressed it today and we've taken some questions. I think that brings us to the end of the webinar.
Yes,
So,
I'm going to jump to the next slide really quickly with your permission. If anyone's interested in working with me as a coach, this is not a sales pitch or anything like that, but really it just gives you the opportunity to connect. And in a few seconds, I'll jump to the final slide. If you'd like to connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram, or YouTube, or Facebook. Usually LinkedIn is a great place to connect with me, Instagram, and I have a lot of videos on YouTube. Most of them are in Arabic now, but there are many that will be uploaded in English in the next week because we've been compiling them. Just catching up to this whole digital world thingamajiggy. So feel free if you want to tap that in. Hiba, I don't want to take up any more of your time. If anyone has any more questions, I'm willing to stick around for another 5 to 10 minutes to answer them if they want to ask more specific questions to wrap this up, and the choice is completely yours.
again, thank you,
Right,
notes
and
from
finally,
everyone. Thank you for a great webinar, feeling energized and motivated. So that's good.
I'm glad.
And amazing session. They absolutely needed it. I think we should do more of these
It
mental
would
health
be my
awareness
absolute
sessions.
honor and pleasure. Whatever I can do to be of value, I'm super ready. Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much for
much,
that.
John. That brings us to the end
Thank
of the
you.
session today. These are how you can connect with John on Instagram and on Facebook, also on LinkedIn, on YouTube. John Kairouz, thank you again for being our host today and for running the
Thank you.
session. Thank you everyone for attending the session today. It was pleasure to have you as always. And we look forward to your comments. I'll be sharing with you the recordings and the slides once John shares them with us. Stay tuned to more events coming up in the future. And go to our university website, manchester.ac.ae, to learn more about these events and to register for them. So thank you all. I wish you all very good evening. Thank you so much, John. It's a pleasure to have you. And
It's a pleasure.
stay safe, everyone. Stay at home, and we'll see you very soon. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, guys. God bless you. Take care. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you.